He stood at the edge of his world, teetering on a precipice of despair. Life had become a relentless storm of failures, losses, and a silence from God that was more deafening than any noise. The weight of it all had crushed his spirit, leaving him hollowed out and weary. Tonight, he decided, would be his last. The air in the room was thick with a heavy finality as he whispered his last goodbye, a prayer that was more of a surrender than a plea. But just as the words left his lips, a sharp, unexpected sound cut through the silence. Knock, knock, knock. It was faint at first, then more insistent, echoing through the empty halls of his home. Who could it be at this hour? In this torrential rain? He hesitated, a flicker of annoyance mixed with curiosity. The world he was so ready to leave was suddenly demanding his attention. Reluctantly, he dragged himself to the door and pulled it open. There stood a man, a complete stranger, drenched to the bone, with rainwater dripping from the brim of his old hat. The stranger's clothes were soaked, but his eyes held a peculiar warmth, a gentle light that seemed to defy the darkness of the stormy night. "I'm so sorry to bother you," the stranger said, his voice calm and steady. "My car broke down just up the road. The storm's getting worse, and I was wondering if I could possibly wait it out here, just for a little while. I don't mean to be any trouble." Every instinct told him to say no, to shut the door and return to his plan. This was an intrusion, a complication he didn't need. But something in the stranger's gaze held him captive. It wasn't pity or judgment, but a simple, profound sense of peace. Against his better judgment, he found himself stepping aside. "Come in," he heard himself say, the words feeling foreign on his tongue. "Get out of the rain." As the stranger stepped inside, shedding his wet coat, he brought with him not just the chill of the storm, but an almost tangible aura of tranquility. He didn't ask for much, just a chair by the unlit fireplace and a glass of water. They sat in a comfortable silence for a moment, the only sounds being the drumming of the rain against the window panes and the quiet ticking of the clock on the wall. Then the stranger began to speak. He didn't ask about the mannish troubles or the sorrow that clung to him in a second skin. Instead, he told stories. He spoke of journeys through deserts, where he thought he'd perish from thirst, only to find an oasis just over the next dune. He talked about being lost in dense forests, feeling hopeless, until a single ray of sunlight broke through the canopy, showing him the way out. Each story was a thread of hope, weaving a tapestry of resilience and unexpected grace. He spoke of faith not as a grand, booming voice from the heavens, but as a quiet whisper in the heart, a gentle nudge in the right direction when all seems lost. He talked about miracles not as parting seas, but as the kindness of a stranger, a timely phone call, or a sudden, unexplained feeling of peace amidst chaos. The man listened, captivated. The stranger's words were like a balm to his raw, wounded soul. He wasn't preaching. He was sharing. He was painting a picture of a world where hope was never truly extinguished, where even in the most profound darkness, a single spark could ignite a flame. With every story, the heavy shroud of despair that had enveloped the man began to lift, piece by piece. The room, once a tomb of his own making, started to feel less like a prison and more like a shelter. He found himself sharing, hesitantly at first, then with a torrent of emotion he had suppressed for years. He spoke of his failed business, the loss of loved ones, the crushing loneliness, and the feeling that God had abandoned him. The stranger listened patiently, his gaze never wavering, offering not easy answers or platitudes, but a quiet, profound understanding that made the man feel seen for the first time in a long, long time. Sometimes, the stranger said gently when he had finished, "We think God is silent because we're expecting a shout. But maybe he's been whispering all along. Maybe he's in the sunrise after a long night, in the warmth of a fire on a cold day, or even in a stranger's knock at the door when you need it most." As the first light of dawn began to creep over the horizon, painting the dark sky with hues of pink and gold, the storm outside subsided. The rain softened to a gentle patter and then stopped. The stranger stood up, a soft smile on his face. "The storm has passed," he said. "It's time for me to go." He walked to the door, and as he opened it, a brilliant ray of sunshine flooded the room, chasing away the last of the shadows. The man stood there, bathed in the morning light, a sense of renewal washing over him. The stranger turned one last time. "Don't give up before the dawn," he said. "Your miracle might already be at the door." And with that, he was gone. The man walked outside. The world was washed clean, glistening and fresh after the storm. His car wasn't broken down. There were no footprints leading away from his door. It was as if the stranger had never been there at all, but he had. He had been there in the man's heart, reigniting a flicker of faith he thought had long since died. This story is a powerful reminder for all of us. When life feels its darkest, when you feel you're at your end and the heavens are silent, remember that help can come in the most unexpected ways. Your miracle might not be a booming voice from the clouds, but a quiet knock on the door of your heart. Heaven is always just one knock away. Don't give up before the dawn. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who might need to hear it today. A little bit of hope can go a long way. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stories that will stir your faith and remind you that you are never, ever alone. Thank you for watching.